Mom, Dad, I'm not throwing shade, but the whole New Year's resolution thing, kind of slipping, no offense. Anyway, my best friend Jenny's dad, crushing it. He uses Blue Apron. He says he ordered one-pan assemble and bake meals and these things called meal kits. They're all super easy to make. He keeps yelling, protein and fiber, baby. Also, the food, we tried it. So good. So maybe you check it out or whatever. Blue Apron. Get $50 off your first 2 orders plus free shipping with code STIR50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
All right, Tom, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you. How about you?
Yeah, all right. Look, all the better, honestly, for not having to watch United lose. So
Yeah, that is a dream, to be honest. I
it
wish it was just going to be like this for the rest of the season.
I know. I didn't watch the England international football game. I saw about 5 minutes of it, in which period Luke Shaw scored. So, because a banger as well. So, which he likes to do for England, apparently.
And then he comes out with some lovely comments about actually enjoying his football when playing for England and enjoying his time there. Everyone seems to be behind the team and in a happy place and stuff.
What could he be talking about?
No idea. No idea.
Well, since we got into it, we might as well talk about that. So, yeah, it's interesting. He's one of the more frank players, I think. I never get the impression with Shaw that he's got some kind of agenda. He's just kind of saying it as it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's hard to kind of work out when you're not in the dressing room and stuff. It's like, and as a manager, I don't know how much you'd like having a player like that. A little bit that like De Gea. De Gea kind of comes out and just says it how it is. And in some respects, it's good. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's great to hear players actually talk what they mean and actually show their full personality. And that is definitely the case. Like, we've got enough PR trained footballers around these days, like someone like Harry Kane, where he literally just says the most boring thing potentially possible. Whereas it is nice seeing Shaw come out and say that. It's just, I guess sometimes you kind of want him to bite his tongue a little bit, because I don't think it is uber helpful when he does say stuff a lot of the time. But the thing is, it's hard to criticize him also, because usually he's so correct. And I think with this, what he said here, it is maybe passive-aggressive sideswipe at United's culture at the moment. And I've seen a lot of people kind of criticize him for his comments, but he's not wrong. And United is a whole kind of a horrible place to be at the moment. And imagine when you do go away to England, like, it was the complete opposite when we were actually good. Our players not hated to go to England, but they found it very difficult. Scholes obviously being a prime example, but people like Gary Neville and players like that have talked about it in the past of being England wasn't a nice place to be around.
Yes,
whereas now
yes.
It's really quite a sad state of affairs when it's the complete opposite.
Well, that's true. And there used to be real cliques in the England dressing room, Liverpool, United, Arsenal, the rivalries, basically. And that doesn't appear to be the case with Southgate's England. He's obviously revitalised the England side, but he plays this really dull, negative football. So I don't particularly enjoy watching England, although it seems as a group, and that may just be me, it seems as a group he's really created a collective there, Southgate. So I guess we could read too much into these comments, but it does. There's a lot of undercurrent to what he said here.
Yeah, I feel like Southgate's very Ollie in many ways, like great dressing room management and atmosphere management, but then tactically very quite weak. But at international football level, that's kind of fine, because most managers are like that. And so when you come up against Mancini in the final, that's when you kind of get out of your depth a little bit.
Yeah, well, there won't be too many tears in England for Italy getting knocked out of the World Cup, will there? To a 94th minute North Macedonian goal.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, just have to say, if United hire Mancini because he's available, I'm invading Old Trafford. Fuck that. No fucking way. Fuck off.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see him wearing one of them red and white squads like he always used to at City as well. Bringing Balotelli. He was talking about bringing Balotelli back to the Italy squad.
I can't even... Where is Balotelli playing? He was playing at Nice for a while. He's not still
I think
there.
He's in Turkey now.
Is in Turkey.
Mm,
Strange career.
yeah,
Yeah.
not one of the big clubs either.
No, right. Anyway, so that was short. And then Pogba said something similar. I mean, the pattern's pretty common, isn't it? Pogba goes away and does an interview with French TV in some kind of depth, and then the quotes are sort of cherry-picked for the worst headlines possible back in England. But he said a few interesting things. He said he needed a break from United to regain his confidence. And he talked about his, it's in a previous interview, I think, from today's, he talked about his relationship with Mourinho and having a lot of times where he felt depressed about his time at Manchester United, which I thought was kind of brave, given the reaction often to that kind of talk. What else did he say?
Yeah, well, what I picked up on was that almost like gaslighting. It kind of sounded from Mourinho. I think Pogba kind of intimated that he was being blamed for things and he didn't know the reason for it, and his happiness was pulled completely from within him by. Well, I think it said it started under Mourinho, which means I guess it carried on afterwards, unless he was just saying it started under Mourinho, and that's why he was just trying to be a little bit diplomatic and not pin all the blame on Mourinho. But
why would you do that? He's a fair target normally, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, that's very true. You can have a lot of sympathy for Pogba's plight at United. You can also, I know people do criticise him all the time, and you can quite fairly criticise him for not performing and stuff, but you kind of see his last 5 years playing in a midfield which has never had anyone half decent beside him like he gets for France. And like I say, again, you can criticise him for his performances at times, but like he's a player who plays best when he's happy. And he just has rarely looked happy at United. And when he does look happy, it's usually in such short bursts. And when you're playing for Mourinho, he doesn't want you to be happy. He wants you to be fully concentrated, fully angry, as he said. I'm not going to say the word, but there's the what he said at Tottenham, which went famously viral on Twitter. We want you to be beat. That's not kind of how Pogba wants to play football. He wants to play with a smile on his face, like almost like Ronaldinho. And that United has not had the chance to be able to do that. And it's just not been a good fit for him. Like, we can criticise him, like I say, quite fairly for not performing week in, week out and not taking more responsibility for the team and not being like an Eric Cantona for us or something like that, which, considering his ability, I think he's technically one of the best footballers in the world. You should maybe expect to do more, but like, for whatever reason, it's not happened. And Mourinho's definitely not been a help in that either.
No, right. So that's those two. France, Pogba came off the 89th minute of France's game the other day, and France scored in the 90th minute, although apparently he had a good game. So, it's just a classic Pogba to be brilliant for France, and his relationship with that team and with the coach Deschamps there, who doesn't really particularly play attractive style football, is much different than he's had at United under, 3 coaches, plus Carrick. So, anyway, we'll see where he ends up. I mean, it seems it'd be freakish if he ended up signing a new deal at United, and that'll only happen, I imagine, if he just decides to take the cash. But he's going to get a good wage packet wherever he goes.
It's weird, isn't it? Because even like this week in those comments, he said he didn't deny that he didn't say there's no chance categorically that I'm going to be at United next season, which is weird. Like, why wouldn't you just come out and say it? But it's so disheartening, like this whole scenario, because when he joined, I thought he was going to be like a franchise player who's going to revitalise United. And because he had that much ability, it's just been so sad.
It has. What else happened in the internationals of note? We were just talking beforehand. You said Facundo Pellistri started for Uruguay again, and he's become sort of an important player for them, hasn't he?
Yeah, and that was a massive game. It was a win that qualified him for the World Cup. Cavani came on, and he was actually playing football, which he always does for Uruguay. But
it's miraculously fit. It's the fresh air and the horseback riding he likes to do that
He loves
helps him
that.
get in the spirit. Yeah, it's the standard of the teams may not be as high in South America overall as they are elsewhere in the world, but that is bloody tough competition. They have to play how many games? It's like 18 games or something. Some
And they
of
had
them
the
are,
Copa America last summer as well.
and the Copa America last summer. Some of them are altitude. I don't know about you, but the first time I tried to go for a run in Mexico City, I thought I was going to die. And that's only at 8,000 feet. You go to La Paz in Bolivia, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's it's no joke playing at altitude, and a lot of those games are played at altitude. So yeah, really tough competition. And so what have we got? Brazil, Argentina, Colombia,
Venezuela.
and Venezuela.
Oh, right, sorry,
is
who's
it?
gone for it? No,
Who's gone
sorry.
through? I can't remember.
Yes,
It's four,
I think
isn't it?
Ecuador went through.
Ecuador.
Yeah, which is quite an interesting one.
Yeah.
Without the Valencias.
Without the Valencias, yeah. Either Enna or Antonio. Antonio, whose Instagram and Twitter accounts are great, by the way, because it often involves him like doing push-ups with a bunch of school kids in some rural village or something. I'm like, what are you doing?
He's just a player or a person I can just imagine never not being fit. I can just imagine he's just always in the gym and just always working on himself. A bit like Zé Roberto. Have you seen him?
I haven't, no. Is he ripped?
He's 47 and he's literally, just, he looks like a bodybuilder. He's absolutely tonked, ridiculous.
It's interesting, isn't it? Not to body shame, but there are some footballers who just, you knew they were going to let themselves go as soon as they stopped playing. Wazza, not just thinking about you, but you're one, definitely.
Literally everyone who's thinking that was the first name that came to mind, sure.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, because we're recording on Sunday, we haven't seen the finals of the Euro area ones, but I saw some of Sweden, and who did Sweden beat like in the last minute? Totally forgotten now.
I can't remember.
I was going to say Poland. That's not right. Czech Republic.
There we go.
Yes, so Anthony Elanga came on and didn't have any part of the goal, but they scored super late on. And so they're through. Scotland and Ukraine was postponed, I think, for understandable reasons. Gareth Bale came out of retirement to score a couple of goals for Wales.
He is ridiculous.
I saw someone on Twitter say that he's the first footballer who has ever retired from club football to concentrate on his international career.
Yeah.
Which is cruel but true.
He's like one of them. There was a player in the African Cup of Nations. I think there was probably a few, to be fair. But there was one for someone like Sierra Leone, and he was a mate. He was like their captain, and he hadn't played a game for like 4 months. He wasn't at a club. He's like that. I can just imagine if like Real Madrid let him go, or I can imagine actually him retiring in the summer and then still playing for Wales at the World Cup.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be that unrealistic.
It'd be interesting with Bale because he's obviously got a healthy ego on him, and he's been at Madrid for these past 9 years. He expects to be playing a high standard of football, but he wasn't very good when he came to Tottenham for last season, and he's barely played for Real Madrid this season or the season before that. So you do wonder what his next step is, and China is not a route. The MLS, they will pay big for special players, the designated player, I think they are. So who knows?
MLS would probably be a good fit, to be fair for him. But like you say, he has got a massive ego, and you can't imagine him stepping down that far. I can't imagine him doing like Christian Eriksen and playing for someone like Brentford in the lower Premier League. I imagine, to be a big star at MLS franchise like Miami or something, probably a good fit.
Yeah, playing under Phil Neville, who's still there.
Unbelievably still there. Like that is the biggest joke of that is the biggest joke of the league, that he can just walk into a job like that. I love David Beckham, but he's made himself and the league look terrible with that appointment.
It's an interesting ownership group at Inter Miami, and they're also under like financial restrictions for cheating by going over their salary cap. But it's a mixed bag of local business people. It's Marcello Clore, who's was big at SoftBank, and also the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia, who get about a bit, don't they, those lads?
Beckham's in bed with all them, not any
Qatar
World Cup.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Is there's dodgy money? Dave's after it. So
Dodgy Dave.
yeah, he still looks good though, doesn't he?
And that's all that matters, really.
Talking of ripped footballers. Yeah. So anyway, so Wales are through. They will play the winner of that Scotland-Ukraine tie whenever that's played. They're talking about June, but yeah, it's hard to imagine that actually happening. Some of the players there are actually on the front lines.
Yeah, I wonder with that, because Alexander Usyk came out the other day and said he's going to fight against Joshua, and you think maybe they'll, I don't know, maybe the government will do it, try and put forward these sporting events to maybe raise morale in the country or
Right.
something. Like, I don't know. That's what I was trying to think with the Alexander Usyk thing, the amount of morale that will, well, kind of boost it in the country if he goes
Sure,
and
yeah.
beats Anthony Joshua. Like, that's
Again,
kind of a
yeah.
victory. Yeah, again, it's kind of a victory for Ukraine, and it's kind of a thing to maybe cheer them up a little bit while this horrendous thing's happening. So maybe they can maybe think about, yeah, we'll play this game against Scotland to try and raise a bit of morale. I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? It's not going to make anything that better, but like it can raise spirits a little bit for a bit.
Yeah. Tip on following any of the news. Don't follow it on social media. Just the amount of grim stuff. Or maybe we all need to, so we understand just how bad this is. I do think some of the coverage of the war is kind of punditry. I mean, it really sounds like football punditry, some of it. But yeah, it's the most covered war ever because citizens are covering it with mobile phones, and it's just so grim. I talked about it with Dan for a couple of weeks. The consequences for sport. We're thinking seriously, aren't we, about what money and sport means. I don't know whether it'll actually have an impact on how the Premier League works or not, but at least that conversation has started. There are consequences for taking dirty money.
I know.
So, yeah, I like Chelsea. Chelsea looks like they're going to get bought. It's highly likely they're going to get bought by a US-led consortium by the looks of it. And those are the leading four bidders. I think all have some US representatives in there, don't they? And so they're going to get a very different ownership group, which are just your standard, evil billionaires, not your state-run evil billionaires.
Yeah. Every cloud.
Every cloud. All right, so nice pivot to talking about ownership at Manchester United, who've got two big projects on apparently at the moment. So we hear from this break. One is they're looking at the stadium, and the other is the manager search, which seems to have upticked a lot. And someone in the United back office somewhere is leaking like a sieve because like every single move is reported in the papers, which is funny. What do you want to talk about? Manager or stadiums?
Let's go with the manager, I think.
All right.
All I can think about is doom at the moment with United. So I just think every time we kind of get linked to anyone, I just don't see a way out of this mess. I look at Ten Hag and I look at kind of his record, obviously this season with Ajax is super impressive, but then his background before that, like, I in my head, I have that question, is Ajax just a perfect fit for him, and will he be able to do it elsewhere? I look at kind of Pochettino, and there's loads of questions that come with him and stuff. But then you just look a lot deeper than that, and you think, can any manager really turn this around? And I just don't. I think there's so much that needs to change. Like it's the structural changes, it's the players, it's the manager. Like, and if you just change one thing, like the managers obviously have a huge impact on a football club. We all know that, but it's not really going to propel us to challenge with City and Liverpool. It's not. I say it's not really. It's not going to. So I find just the excitability of some of our fan base regarding Ten Hag or Pochettino, whoever side you're on, I can't buy into that excitedness because I just feel that whoever we get in is kind of destined for doom, to be like really, really downbeat about this. But I just feel like it is. And like, I feel like we can get really excited when Ten Hag comes in. It seems like a really fresh and exciting appointment. He could bring a new style of football to United, could change loads of things. or it could just go like every other appointment we've had. And I don't think the appointments we've had in the past have been very good, to be honest. I think a lot of the question marks over everyone, especially Ranić this season, Ollie when he was there, Mourinho, of course, Van Gaal I even thought was very dated appointment. But and yeah, we might hire Pochettino and Ten Hag, which does look forward thinking and 21st century, well, in 2022. But there's so many bigger problems in my opinion.
I don't know whether the legs to the stool here are all equally weighted, but club structure, and I wrap into that the ability to actually make the right kind of purchases in the transfer market, because it's so important in terms of squad building and getting the right personalities into the squad as well as the right balance of skills. So there's club structure, money, coaching team. Obviously the head coach being the most important one there. So, and again, I don't know that they're all equally weighted, but you have to pretty much get them all right in order to progress as a club. United aren't going to get the best coach out there because the best coach out there is Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp or some mix of them. So United should be getting the next best coach out there. And I don't know if Pochettino and Ten Hag are the next best coaches, but given where the club is at the moment, unlikely to be in the Champions League next season, pretty much a history of failure for the last 9 years now. That sounds good, doesn't it? Like, likelihood is whatever coach United get is going to be flawed. So, the youngster Eric Ten Hag, who's actually older than Mauricio Pochettino, is 52 now.
Yeah.
I know, you don't, I always, you think about him, you're like, oh yeah, fresh young Eric Ten Hag, but he's doing well with Ajax. They're a couple of points ahead in the Eredivisie. It's going to be a really tight race there. He's got he's produced a nice Ajax side in the Champions League for the last couple of years, but they did get knocked out against Benfica. So that's a big black mark. He's not a personality. I think everyone who talks about him, I don't know him really because I don't follow Dutch football that closely, but he's not that charismatic is one of the things. And I do wonder whether that's, if he's not that, can he really rally this group of players, those that are left after the summer? So, as I said, I think anyone's going to be flawed. And then Pochettino, I mean, he's definitely flawed, isn't he? But I do wonder whether there are questions about, what happened at Tottenham after he built a great side was that Daniel Levy refused to strengthen when he said the squad needed strengthening. So it went south from there. He knew that some of the players were a bit over the hill or needed a change, and it showed in the squad. So I kind of have sympathy for him there. And then at Paris Saint-Germain, I have no idea. Like, Thomas Tuchel failed at Paris Saint-Germain as well in terms of what they expect. He left a mess in the middle of last season, got to Champions League final, lost. So is Pochettino doing a bad job there? Don't know. They're 12 points ahead in league, and maybe that's the minimum expected.
Yeah, it's a super difficult job, and especially for him, who's a systems coach essentially. Like, and it's just when you have that front three who don't track back, and like Neymar's by far the hardest working out of that front three, and Messi basically just stands about these days. It's almost impossible to actually win a game against a proper club. Obviously, they're all amazing in their own right, but to fit into a system, it just doesn't work. That's the thing with Pochettino. I feel like United, we almost needed like an all-consuming manager, like a Diego Simeone, really, who's going to shape the whole club in his style. Because of the structural problems, we almost need a manager who's just going to take it upon themselves and just create a club, essentially. Like Diego Simeone's kind of gone into Atletico Madrid, who had been languishing in the lower reaches of La Liga and even got relegated not that long before he went there. They were in the second division, and just basically transformed them into something else under his like personality, like Fergie did essentially. Fergie completely came in and transformed United into his way. And I guess Ralf Rangnick did that at RB Leipzig, completely transformed the whole club. But doing it at somewhere like United, as bureaucratic and as political as Man United is, it's next to impossible. So I almost think we're like, with that, which I think is what we need, it's actually impossible. So I would say I want a utopia. But then I also think about a utopia being just United all synced up and working like a proper football club should, which feels like a utopia, yet shouldn't.
The other manager who seems to be mentioned a lot from the leaky sieve that United are talking about is Julen Lopetegui at Sevilla, who are having a decent season. I mean, they're second in La Liga. They're quite 9 points behind Real Madrid. Some of that's because they've drawn 4 of their last 5, so the wheels came off a little bit. They were really challenging and looked like that this was the year that they had a chance. But they're a good Sevilla side. I mean, not good enough to beat David Moyes' West Ham.
That's a good manager we could appoint.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe he's ready for the big time now. Oh dear, please don't, please God. He's a well-respected manager. Obviously, there's that mess at Real Madrid where he joined Real Madrid in the middle of a tournament and then got booted out by the Spanish Federation and then got booted out of Real Madrid very shortly afterwards. And so you do wonder whether he's a man who succeeds at a slightly smaller standard of club.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you bring him in on the proviso that, yeah, he's done well at Sevilla. He was wanted by a massive club like Real Madrid, but Real Madrid don't always get their appointments correct, so that's not the best judge. He obviously was at Spain, never knew how well he did because he left before a major tournament. I think it's just such an unknown, and I feel like almost all of these, like Ten Hag's, are very much an unknown. In my opinion, Lopetegui's an unknown. Pochettino is less of an unknown, I think, because I don't want to say he knows the Premier League like Richard Keys would, but I feel like he is more tried and tested, and especially with maybe a group who are a little, maybe our that Tottenham team were a little bit similar to how United are now, maybe not. I feel like he is more tried and tested with that type of football club, whereas the other two are, well, Ten Hag, for example, he's only managed outside of Holland with Bayern's second team.
Yeah.
Like, he was at Go Ahead Eagles, I think, before Ajax. Like, I mean,
great name. And Utrecht. He had a couple of spells at Go Ahead Eagles, and then Bayern Munich second team, and then Utrecht before Ajax. Yeah. No, and whoever gets the job is going to be flawed. No doubt about that.
Yeah, there's no manager out there, especially available, who isn't flawed, which is our biggest problem. We could have maybe hired I think we should have hired Conte back in October, but again, he was also flawed. He is also flawed. Maybe a little less so than these managers coming up. You could argue that either way, but there is no flawless manager out there. You'd probably say, not in the Premier League, who is the closest to flawless, probably Nagelsmann at Bayern. But again, he's quite untested at the moment. Like, he's not actually shown he is as elite as his maybe reputation maybe says he is elite.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping they're good because I don't want City to win or Liverpool to win the Champions League. So,
well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they grab Nagelsmann if he's willing to walk out on Bayern Munich, but that seems unlikely this summer.
It seems unlikely. Very unlikely.
So, the other thing that was happening during the break was some talk about work on the stadium. So there's a bunch of things sort of presented, which happens every now and again. I mean, doesn't it? United have talked about this for 16 years of the Glazers' ownership, or however long it's been now, and done absolutely nothing. It seems to me the 3 options being discussed are liquor paint, which is pretty much what they've done since the Glazers took over. I mean, it's only mildly unfair. A redevelopment including expansion of the South Stand, which has always been difficult because of the train line, lack of space there, and then bulldoze Old Trafford and build a new stadium, which was even floated, which I can't imagine would be very popular. Even if effectively 3 of the stands at Old Trafford have nothing to do with the previous stadium. They've been knocked down and rebuilt over time. There's just something about it's on that footprint and it's on that pitch where all of United's history has happened.
Yeah, that's what the newspapers had led with a lot, didn't they? That they are considering knocking it. The Glazers are considering knocking it down. I think Jamie Jackson reported in The Guardian that was the least likely thing to happen. And just from a monetary perspective, I can't imagine the Glazers going, "Oh yeah, let's build a £1 billion stadium or whatever." Like Tottenham,
Well, it'd all be debt. So
well,
the calculation is that stadium, does it feel more valuable than the cost of the debt, basically? And can you make a return? And Tottenham have shown they can make a return, but United aren't in as desperate position. So they already have a big stadium that produces lots of income.
and that's what you kind of think. Like, what? I feel like they're only doing this for vanity reasons because, like, United fans keep talking about how not backward Old Trafford is, but dated it is. How dated Old Trafford is, especially compared to these newer stadiums. Like Tottenham being a perfect example. Tottenham's ground is amazing, and United's just feels a little bit old these days and just run down. Like, I think since Glazers came in, there hasn't been an expansion to the stadium, has there? I think the quadrants came in after they took over, but they were already proposed before the Glazer takeover. And especially, like I say, especially compared to even the Emirates. The Emirates is like really nice from the outside, and it's not the most amazing stadium. It's pretty soulless when you get in there, but
It is.
on the outside, it is pretty lovely. And like, well, West Ham's is horrible. I don't know if anyone's ever been there. That's really soulless, and the concourses are terrible. But there's so much more that we could actually improve at Old Trafford, and Tottenham's is the perfect example. That Tottenham's amazing.
Yeah. The calculation is going to be how much it costs to build that South Stand versus the incremental revenue, because it's not much. So if you stick another 8,000 seats there, it's a few million per season extra revenue, but it's not transformative compared to how much it might cost to engineer something that overhangs or goes right over the train line. And that's always been the barrier. It just, the economics didn't seem to stack up, even if United as a club deserves to have a stadium that can be filled. It's not a very good team, but we'd still fill a stadium with an extra 20 or 30,000 seats.
Yeah, isn't there something like 50,000 people still on the waiting list for the season tickets or something?
Yeah, who knows? I don't believe any stuff that comes out of the club, but maybe.
It's true.
Look how popular we are. Yeah.
I know. That does, feel really weird. It's like, I know so many people who have like not renewed their season tickets lately, and yet there's still loads of people still waiting in the wings, despite how bad we are. But we are a massive club, so.
Yeah, true. All right. Well, I guess that's all this week's news. We got a game against Leicester. Unless there was anything else you wanted to talk about.
No, I think that's all good.
Seems like that's it. Leicester. They're mid-table and they've had a disastrous season by recent Leicester standards. And I guess one of the reasons why old Brenton isn't being discussed as a potential United manager is that their form has gone a bit south. But they got a win last time out against Brentford. I thought they were decent in that game as well. So maybe they're turning it around.
Yeah, they play very hot and cold, don't they? They've got a lot of players who, like Tielemans, for example, who've just not been consistent this season. Like Tielemans looked like he would be a perfect fit for United centre midfield last season, but this season's just, he's gone really off the ball. James Maddison's the same. Even Vardy's not as, Vardy is obviously getting quite old, so it's not expected for him to just slow down a little bit, but every kind of cog that's functioning so well for the majority of last season, obviously they had a capitulation towards the end of the season, apart from the FA Cup final where they missed out on Champions League, because they only missed out on Champions League on that final day, losing to Tottenham, didn't they?
Yep.
All the cogs have just kind of broken down. And yeah, I thought even someone like Patson Daka would be awesome for them, and he's had spits and starts, and it's just been super inconsistent all season. So,
yeah, I don't think having injuries help. The squad's obviously thin, isn't it?
Wesley Fofana got that horrendous injury in pre-season, didn't he?
Yeah, against Villarreal. Awful tackle as well.
Yeah.
For a pre-season game. Yeah. And he did look a really high-quality player, and Soyuncu's not been very good this season, so they've leaked quite a few goals. They're one of the few clubs in the top half of the table that have conceded more goals than United, because most haven't. In fact, none have. No teams in the top half of the table, apart from Leicester, have conceded more goals than United. So maybe that tells you something about the two teams at the moment.
Yeah. It might make for a barnstormer of a game then, I guess.
It was interesting how few United players actually went out on to international duty. So they had 5 days off, including Rangnick, who was at the cricket, weirdly.
Yeah, Gary Neville was happy about all those players.
I just don't buy any of that old school nonsense. I mean, Gary's was of the generation that just stopped drinking, right? Before that, they were all boozers, out on the lash, before the game. I mean, Roy Keane was doing it during Gary Neville's time, so come on. I don't remember Neville calling it out at that time.
I don't know if you saw in the replies as well, like, I think someone questioned him on it, and he said, yeah, but we were doing it, but we were just being quiet about it. I was like, well, you could be quiet about it back then because there wasn't social media and people weren't taking your photos everywhere you went. Like, and it's just a different time. If you were still doing it, surely that doesn't make it any better.
No, it doesn't.
It's a vanity thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the comments are nonsense.
Yeah,
anyway, look, I didn't care Rangnick going to the cricket. I was a bit surprised. I did check up how good the German cricket team is, and they're ranked something like 37th in men's T20, so not very good.
Maybe you could revolutionise that instead of United.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, full root and branch review of German cricket is needed, I think. Yeah, so anyway, I didn't care about that. But then they've had quite a lot on the training ground. So, we mentioned Cavani's been away, Ronaldo and Bruno have been away in Portugal, Shaw with England, but Sancho was given a break, which is a real surprise because he was Gareth Southgate obviously just doesn't like Jadon Sancho because he didn't use him in the Euros either, really. Like couple of appearances, wasn't it? One sub and one start. Rashford didn't go away, which is no surprise given his form, although he has generally been a favourite. It's interesting he drops him now, but made him go to the Euros when he needed shoulder surgery and didn't use him, which has probably contributed a lot to Rashford's poor start this season. Didn't get a pre-season in. Anyway, so they didn't go away. Dave missed out on a call-up to the Spanish national team, which, again, you'd say if you took a long view, it's not a surprise, but he's probably in his best form for 3 years or something.
Yeah, they took the Brentford keeper as well, didn't they?
David Raya, yeah.
Yeah.
This is he's 27 or something. It's his first season in sort of top flight football anywhere.
Very interesting.
Interesting journey to the top. Yeah, played at Southport and other stuff like that. So yeah, so they've had some time. Yeah, they'll have had about 10 days of training, most of the group.
Maguire still got a call up ahead of Tomori though, which makes sense.
Yeah, Tomori's had a really good season at Milan. The top, aren't they? The top of Serie A at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yes, and he's one of the few Brits who go abroad and really embrace it. He speaks fluent Italian.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
Tammy Abraham's doing pretty good over there as well, and I don't know how much he's embraced the culture, but
saving Mourinho's season, he is, Abraham.
Yeah, I know. Very interesting.
Yeah, so anyway, maybe those 10 days will make a difference in terms of United's preparation for this. I'm sure they haven't had all the players there, but they've had quite a lot. And, yeah. All righty. Thoughts? We're going to win this one. It's at Old Trafford, isn't it?
Yeah, I fancy us, to be fair. Like you say, Leicester are very hit and miss, and I feel like this is... Oh, we've been good against the lesser teams I say we've been good. We've won the games mostly against the lesser teams under Rangnick, and I think we'll probably put in a bit of a performance, to be fair. But I say performance probably for 45 minutes because that is the United way these days. We can't keep up for 90.
No, we can't. Yes, I'm not sure. I'd imagine it's given Leicester's challenges and openness that we will win this one because that's the kind of game we can win. Desperately need to. Basically need to win all 9 of them to have any chance of being in the Champions League. I struggle to imagine that this group of players will be able to keep up the intensity for, Pogba talked about, I'm not singling him out at all, but one of the comments he said, just to bring it full circle, was that he said the season's basically over. It's not over yet, but it's as good as over. We've got nothing to fight for. I'm paraphrasing there, but I think that might give an insight into what happens in the next 9 games. But this one, I fancy us.
Yeah, it's not really the attitude you want to hear when you still have got Champions League potential. I'm sure the Glazers are probably not happy about that either. Because literally, this is all what they want to do, just qualify for the Champions League. That's fine for them.
That's right. And it's missing out on Champions League is going to start getting even more expensive, and the difference between getting in and not. So it's depending on where you get to in the Champions League, but worth about 50 million extra over the Europa League. Again, depends on how far you go in either competition, but let's just say that as a number. But with the Swiss model coming in and the extra funding that UEFA has secured for the new format, it's going to be worth even more. And United's infrequent ability to actually get into the Champions League and do anything with it is going to start creating a gap to other teams. For example, if Arsenal do qualify for this season's Champions League ahead of United, they will, I'm not saying they'll surpass United's revenue, but it would be close. So that will tell you about United's waning power in the world. So anyway, yeah, super important for the club.
I also feel like it's getting tougher as well. And I know Arsenal and Tottenham, especially over the last few years, have been very inconsistent from year to year. But you think if Conte is at Tottenham next season, which might not be the case, seeing as he looked like he wanted to try and sack himself a few weeks ago, but you'd imagine that a full pre-season under Conte, Tottenham are going to be better next season. Arsenal seem to be improving massively under Arteta at the moment. Again, is that actually going to continue? I don't know. But it felt like this season was a bit of a gimme to qualify in the top four. Chelsea, obviously, they should be back up there if they've got this new ownership thing sorted out. It could be potentially very tough next season. And like I say, this season, it should have been a lot easier. And especially after finishing second. But yeah, anyway.
All righty. Good talk to you, Tom.
Yeah, sorry about the doom and gloom. It's just not very fun at the moment.
Yeah, well, maybe United will give something to cheer about at the weekend. Let's hope so, eh? So,
That'd be lovely.
Thanks, everyone. We'll speak to you all next week.